There was a girl in our driveway.
All right, I hope this is working. All right, everybody, sorry for the delay.
Yeah.
So number one, you want to get the thing being squared completely by itself. So you need to start by doing what?
Adding this. No.
Yes, add 6 to both sides. So that's -67. I still want to get the x completely by its, or x squared by itself, so I still have to divide by 10. So let's divide both sides by 10. We're a little bit unlucky because -67 over 10 isn't a nice number. But oh well, too bad, so sad. Sometimes they're not nice numbers. But to finish, what do I have to do? Square root both sides. So think about what's happening here. First of all, you need to remember positive and negative roots. So I'm going to put them as part of my answer before I forget. Now I have to fix this. The square root of 67. Does that have any perfect square factors? Here's our list. Ah,
Yeah.
just kidding.
No, can we put it back up? Yeah. We should definitely be able to use it.
I mean, you guys can always recreate it on your own, right? I'm just doing 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared.
After like 13 squared. Yeah. I was confused.
Hold on, I'm gonna take a picture.
And like after 10, like
After 1 square. Wow.
Have a calculator, right? So if you don't know 14 squared, you can just do it.
and then I changed it.
All right, so in this list, are there any numbers that divide into 67? No.
I literally can't get it.
So that doesn't simplify. The only thing I can do is I can take out that, when I have a, guys, if I have a negative under a radical, doesn't it come out as I? So that numerator simplifies to be that. That's the best I can do. Downstairs, I have the square root of 10. The square root of 10 doesn't simplify. None of these things divide into 10 either, but you can't leave an answer like that, can you? Because you can't have a square root in the denominator. So how do I fix it?
Is that?
Brady, you're gonna be asking me, oh, you could not know what's going on. Oh, yeah.
I think I got this right.
I hope so.
Who sent that?
Thank you. So in the top, I'm gonna get I square root of 670. What's the denominator now? Yes, just 10. Can you simplify that? No, 670. 67 didn't have any perfect square factors and neither did 10. And I don't think the product does either, right? They don't. I'd have to look if either of these have one of the their factors the same, and they don't. So I'm done. I square root 670 over 10.
Okay, I was close.
Don't forget positive and negative. Every single question should have 2 answers. And there they are, a positive and a negative, that whole thing. All right, let's try 3.
Wait, Sam.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
What
sorry.
happens if you like have a square root and you don't know like what number goes into it, but it's like you can like go lesser.
You can go lesser.
You just try them. So if, take 670, for example, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what, just grab a calculator and divide them in
Okay.
and see if you can find any.
Okay.
All right, number 3. I'm gonna minus 2 from both sides. You have to divide by 3. A lot of people yesterday were trying to take the square root right now. You can't do that yet. Divide both sides by 3. You want the v squared totally by itself. 249 divided by 3 is 83. So now I'm here and all I have to do is take the square root of both sides. But I need to ask myself, don't forget positive and negative, does 83 have any perfect square factors?
No.
No. So that's my answer, positive, negative, square root 83. And I'm done. Okay, now as far as factoring goes, let's do one where A is 1 and one where it's not. So how about 6? Looks good. So when A is 1, right? So I'm talking about that lead coefficient right there. always, first of all, you should always check that if there's a greatest common factor to factor out of the whole thing. Do I have something to factor out of the whole thing? No, not this time. So then I look, oh, okay, A is 1. So that means I can get right to the factoring. I'm looking for factors of C that add up to be B. So I want factors of positive 30 that add up to be a negative 11. What would they be?
5 and 6.
Yes, a negative 5 and a negative 6. You are solving. So you need to go one step past this. There's your factors, but now you set each factor equal to 0. You don't have to write this whole part out, but I want you to know where it's coming from. You take each of these and set them equal to 0 and then add 5, add 5. So one answer is 5 and this answer is going to be 6. So normally, once I get this, I know, okay, the answer is just the opposite of both of them. But that's why, because you're setting each factor equal to 0 and solving, you can check that, right? Take 5 and plug it back in, especially when they're nice. It's so easy to check. Hello. Yes, thank you. Jack, one for you. So watch how fast you can check if 5 works. 25 minus 55 plus 30. Let's see what that is. See what I'm doing? I'm popping it in right here. 5 squared is 25 minus 55 plus 30. It should be 0. What do you know it is? You do the same thing with 6. Plug in 6. 36 minus 66 plus 30 is a 0. It is. Yes. Okay, so that's when A is 1. When A is not 1, so these are hard because you're probably all solving it a different way. So if I want to do something like number 10, I guess I could do it 2 different ways. I can do slide and divide, and then I can do all 3, I suppose. If you're a slide and divide person, let's start with that. That's my favorite. That's what I like. But if you mess it up, then it's no good to you. You slide, and that slide means I'm going to multiply 2 times the negative 15. And then I kind of drop it off, like I'm sliding this number over here, and now that's a 30. See that? That's the first step of the slide part. You multiply this by that, and now you have this. Now you're going to factor this just like you normally would, because now A is 1. So that'd be n minus 10 and a plus 3. You can't stop here, though. If you stop here and you FOIL this back together, you think you're getting back to the original? No. And your answers would not work because you're not done. You only did the slide. Now you got to do the divide. So what's the divide? Whatever you multiplied by, you have to come in and now divide both of these numbers by whatever that number was. So in this case, it was a 2. So I'm dividing both of these by 2. Then I see, oh, 10 divided by 2, that's just 5. This does not reduce. If the fraction can reduce, I reduce it. This one can't. So all you do is take that bottom number and it comes around and becomes the new coefficient. So now it's 2n plus 3. If you FOIL that back together, you will absolutely get back to this original. And those are my correct factors. So now I set each of these equal to 0. So n minus 5 equals 0. So obviously one answer is positive 5. This one, I know you could probably do it in your head, but if you can't, 2n plus 3 equals 0, minus 3, and then divide by 2. So my other answer is negative 3/2. And there they both are. You could take 5, plug it back in, it will work. If you want to take the time to plug in negative 3/2, you can, it will work. How nice. So that's slide and divide. Let's do a, do any of you do the one where you multiply A times C and then you rewrite it, cut it in half? Yeah, some people do that. All right, so let's try that with 9. That won't be so bad. So if you're going to do the A times C, you could still do slide and divide with this, but if you are an A times C person, those people do 2 times negative 7, they get negative 14. And then they're trying to find factors of negative 14 that add to be negative 5. Oh, that's not so bad. It's a negative 7 and a positive 2, right? Then they come in here and they rewrite the whole thing, 2x squared, but they replace that with these two. Negative 7x plus 2x minus 7. Then you literally split it in half and you factor each side. So here I can take out an x. Oh, I'm so glad that this happened because look, see how this is already 2x minus 7? So what do I factor out if it already is what I want it to be? A positive 1. You have to take something out. So if it's already perfect, just take out a positive 1. And then you verify that your parentheses match. Yep, they do.
Wait, where'd the 14 come from?
A times C. Do you do slide and divide? Or no? What's your,
I just
then ignore me right now.
Okay.
And ta-da, there's your factors. Oh, but then you gotta solve it, right? So one of my answers would be -1. And then the other one, set that equal to 0, you'd add 7 divided by 2. So that would be a positive 7/2. And there is my final answer. And then, does anybody do guess and check? I'll do a guess and check just to be thorough. But if you don't do guess and check and you don't want to, then just ignore me for a second. So I take the factors, I'm doing 12, by the way. I take the factors of 12, 2, 1 and 2. And the factors of 9, 1 and 9, 3 and 3. I need a pair of these to match up with a pair of these. And it's got to be a -9. I want to add to be a positive 3. So someone over here has to be negative. So let's see if what if I did 2 times 3, and then if this was a -3, 1 times -3. So that would be a positive 6 and a -3. So I think that would work. So once I have it, these two go in the first spot. So that would be an n and a 2n. And the 1 is supposed to multiply with a -3. So I got to put it in the other one, -3. And this one would be a +3. But please make sure that you foil it back together and double check that you didn't mess anything up. 2n squared -3 plus 6 minus 9. Yep, that's right. So now I set each factor equal to 0. I get a -3 and a positive 3/2. And there it is. Guess and check is my personal least favorite, but once you get good at it, then you're really good at it and you're probably really fast at it. Okay, so there's factoring. Again, I don't care which method you use as long as you have one that works for you. Then completing the square. Does anybody have a preference from 15 to 20? Any of these in particular that you wanted me to do? Did anyone? No, just pick a random one. 17, you got it. So for completing the square, our first step is, whoops. Figure out how to work the camera. There we go. All right. So 17. Our first step is to move the constant to the other side. So I want a -33 over. So I'll have a -33 on this side. I want to make sure that A is 1. A has to be 1. Otherwise, I can't keep going. Luckily for us, it is. If it's not, I'm going to divide everybody by A to make sure that A is 1. Now, I want that magic number. What's the magic number in this case? 49. Where is that coming from? Half of B, which would be 7, and then you square that number. So 49. So I'm going to add 49 to both sides. You always have to add to both sides. So on the right, a -33 and 49 is 16. On the left, you factor this. Factors of 49, that adds to be 14. Oh, it's 7 and 7. Instead of writing x plus 7 times x plus 7, I'm going to write x plus 7 squared. And now I'm set up to square root both sides. We got lucky because 16 is a perfect square, but what do I need to remember? Yes. When you take a square root, you need to take both roots, positive and negative. That's just x plus 7. And now all I have to do is -7. Try and get in the habit of taking that number and sticking it up in front. So now it looks like this, -7 plus -4. And then all I have to do is actually do that. -7 plus 4 is a -3. -7 minus 4, -11. I can take those numbers and I can check them if I want to. Another thing you could do, especially when the numbers come out nice, that means that you could have factored this one. On the quiz, I tell you, you have to do it this way, that way, or the other. But there's no reason, nothing to stop me from double checking myself to make sure that that's what I would have done. All right, and the last one is quadratic formula. Can you write the quadratic formula right now without looking? Go ahead, try it. Write it from your brain. I'm not giving you the quadratic formula, so you need to know it. Can you write it on your desk? I prefer not.
Oh, I was gonna say you can. She said to, so I was like, yeah, sure.
Well, I bet if I took a mosey around right now and looked at everybody's desk to see how many people have it scratched in on there somewhere,
It's a lot of things on my desk.
probably.
But not that though. There's like flowers and some things.
That's
Are
good.
you just vandalizing the desk?
All right, so once you have your quadratic formula, double check that's the same as mine. Should be -b plus or minus big old square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And there you have it. Make sure that yours matches mine.
Yes, it matched.
Yay! Woo! That's the first part of the battle, right? Because if you don't have the formula right, you're not going to get the answers right. But yes. Oh, I've been waiting. So let's try what. Everybody have a preference down here for 21 to 26?
You pick one, Miss Saban.
I picked 24 because that one looks a little weird. Now, if you get something like 24, hold on. You can't start yet. You don't know what A, B, and C are yet. You need to get this in order. I need to set the whole thing equal to 0 before I can tell what A, B, and C are. So I'm gonna have to minus 5B from both sides and add the 8, right? I gotta move everything to one side. So I have 11B squared minus 5B plus 8 equals 0. Now I can tell what A, B, and C are. They have to be in order first. Does that make sense? Get in order. And now I know, oh, okay, yeah. So A is just 11, B is -5, and C is +8. So if you did this problem and you had a +5 and a -8 for A, B, and C, you can't do that. You got to set it equals 0 first. Now I'm ready. Now I just pop everything into the formula. X equals -b is now going to be a +5 plus minus big old square root. -5 squared, isn't that 25? -5 times -5 minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A would be 22. I've mentioned to you before visualizing this box here. So I'm just multiplying these three numbers together, -4, 11, and 8. When I do that, that's going to be a negative number, isn't it?
Do we get a calculator?
You sure do. 352. All over 22. Okay, so 25 minus 352 is -327. So now I'm here, 5 plus minus square root of -327 all over 22. So now what do? Now I'm going to take that square root of -327. I'm going to go off to the side a little bit just so I can figure that out. -327. So I want to look and see if there are any perfect square factors that go into 327. I'm pretty sure. Oh, that was a surprise. I thought it definitely went in. I thought 9 went in, but it doesn't.
What about 49?
Let's try. Nope.
I feel like nothing else ends in 7.
Did anybody find one?
169?
Huh?
I'm just guessing.
Some, like you get to, if 4 doesn't go in, then you know like 16 is not gonna go in. And 36 isn't gonna go in. You know what I mean? Like you
And
can
also-
rule out.
If you multiply them and the first ending number doesn't end in a 7, it doesn't work.
So that's interesting. I don't know if 327 has any. Did anybody find one? I didn't find one. So, okay. But I do have that negative. So that's got to come out. So I am going to turn this into I root 327 at least. Right? So now let's go back in, write our final answer. 5 plus minus I root 327 all over 22. Is that a final answer? Can you do any simplifying? No, that's it. There's my answer. Questions? Everybody's good? Okay, so if you would like a calculator, you can help yourself to one. You may not use your cell phone calculator.
I know, it feels bad. Did you have scissors?
I do.
I'm actually glad I didn't. I feel like there was much.